Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of jakestake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. It is episode 175 of Jake's Take with the Jacob Elyachar Podcast. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening to our conversations and watching them. If you're watching them right now on our YouTube channel, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you're listening to our various podcast forums, thank you so much. And please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. I'm so excited that today, for our episode 175, we have a talented actress and entrepreneur. As of right now, she has over 52,300 Instagram followers. She's a regular on the Hallmark Channel and a Lifetime Movie Network. And she also is the entrepreneur behind the award-winning handbag collection. Farrah, please help me welcome Anna Marie Dobbins to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome, Anna Marie. Thank you so much for being here on this very fantastic special episode.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. So let's get down to business, shall we? So when did you get interested in performing, and how did that passion evolve into desire to pursue a career in the entertainment industry?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. So I was very fortunate to come from a family of entertainers. My mom was a dancer. My dad was a drummer. And so they always, encouraged me to be in the entertainment world, arts. I was kind of bred a dancer. So I started off doing all styles of dance, jazz, hip hop, ballet, lyrical. And then I danced competitively. And then around the age of 13, my mom kind of piqued my interest in TV and film world because she did it when she was younger. And she was like, do you think that would be something that you'd want to do? And I was like, sure, why not? I never even thought that I had an opportunity to do that. I didn't even know how to get started. And so I started locally in Birmingham, Alabama, which is where I'm from, and just kind of slowly started building my resume, and then started working out the Atlanta market, which is right close to Birmingham, about 2 hours away. So as a teenager, I would go back and forth between Alabama and Atlanta, and then eventually made my way out to Los Angeles after I graduated college. And I've been out here about 10 years full time. And yeah, I guess the rest is kind of history.
That's amazing, because a lot of people, when I'm thinking of, when I encounter some entertainers, either they start from Alabama and then Georgia and then move up to New York, or you either go the Midwest route, which I'm from Kansas City, and go from Kansas City to Denver to Los Angeles. I think that's a very interesting route that you just went from Atlanta to Alabama, Atlanta, and then all the way to Los Angeles.
Yeah. So I did do New York. I did a summer there to kind of, to see if I wanted to do New York or LA. But because my focus was more TV film, I decided to do Los Angeles. And that was also more, it felt right. It was more my vibe. Like, I liked driving. I liked the beach. I liked the warm weather. So it just felt right. Los Angeles for me. I love to visit New York, but to live there permanently was not my jam.
I totally respect that. I did 4 years in New York City, and the pandemic brought me home.
Sure.
But the thing is, I have a full respect for Los Angeles, because I've been there 3 times for 3 different events in the past 6 years. And boy, I respect you for driving the 405 in those freeways.
It's a learning curve. Like, once you get out here, now I don't even think about it. Like, 6 lanes, traffic the whole way down, like, whatever. It's not a big deal. But it's so funny when I have company come in town and they're always like, oh my gosh, you sit in this every day. I'm like, well, no, I don't. Thankfully, I don't have a job where I commute daily. So I feel like I would feel it more if I did. But since my career path takes me all over the world, or, it's a shorter amounts of time that I'm having to commute. So it's not as treacherous as some people think.
That's amazing. So let's talk about some of the challenges that you faced breaking into the entertainment industry, and how did you overcome those obstacles?
Yeah, some challenges. This industry is a tough one in itself. There's a lot of rejection that you deal with, and so growing up as a kid and having to deal with rejection, and how do you overcome that and keep going for so long? Because I've done it, like I said, since I was 13, so a long time. But it's just one of those things, like when you're on set, it just makes everything, it just feels right. And it feels like it's what I'm meant to do. So it just makes that drive just a little bit more worthwhile, getting all the no's before you get the yeses. And also it builds you as a person. It builds your character. It gives you tough skin. It gives you that perseverance to make it worthwhile. And every time you get on set, it's more of a reward because it took you that much longer and that much more hard work to get there. Because it's not an easy route,
And speaking of not easy route, when I was doing some research on you before we get to start with the conversation, my jaw dropped when we said 15, when you filmed over 15 movies in 2.5 years, especially those pandemic years. So what were some of the processes that you went through as you transitioned from each project? Because 15 projects is a blessing, but oh my God, time management.
Yeah, it was crazy. In a time when the world kind of shut down, I expected to not work like everyone else. And it just so happened that my career kind of exploded because everybody wanted content. Everyone was at home. Everybody wanted new things to watch on the TV. And so for the entertainment world, it just kind of went haywire and thankfully for me. So a lot of it, I was traveling all over the country. A lot of it was not shot in Los Angeles just because I feel like LA had a lot stronger of COVID restrictions and it was harder to film there. So I was shooting in cities like Arkansas, Oklahoma. I was in Texas. I was in Rhode Island. I was all over. So I would say one of the challenges is just making sure that you're healthy enough to be on set. That's the scariest part is, okay, you booked an amazing role. Well, you've got to, be in your bubble for however long before. And then it's that scary moment of, okay, we're going to test you when you get on set. And I'm so scared. Even if I felt fine, right before I went on set and they test me, I was like, oh my gosh, what if I have COVID? What if I'm one of those people that doesn't show symptoms and I'm going to have to cancel and they're going to have to find someone so that was just stressful in itself, just having to deal with that part, and something you can't really control if you get sick and you tried to do the best you can. And then I think on set, it was kind of challenging in the way that it's usually everyone says it's like a summer camp, like when you're on set, because you're close knit people, you're with these people like 12 hours a day. You get to know people on a really personal level really fast. And wearing a mask and everyone's having to stay, far apart from each other, it just makes it challenging to really connect with these people, especially if you have to have a love interest on set or something and you have to connect with that person, having this distance because you're scared and it's nerve-wracking. So there's a bunch of different challenges that just COVID brought along in itself when I was filming.
And I've heard about a lot of those challenges, especially with all the not just with the protocol, but also with all of the stuff about like interactions. Like you have to immediately, like when they say cut, put your mask back on and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of it was the vanity side of it is hard because you would go to hair and makeup and you get everything, all beautified. And then you have to put on a mask and then you walking to set and you're like sweating everywhere. So then it just takes that much longer once you get there that they have to touch you up again in between takes. And yeah, it's a whole nother beast dealing with COVID for one, and then COVID while you're working and having to work in in an intimate setting like a film set. So it's challenging, but
Absolutely. But you persevered and you made 15 and you filmed 15 movies. So let's talk about 3 of them for time's sake.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's start with Killer Rivalry. It aired April 22nd on the Lifetime Movie Network. So can you describe that movie and your role in that production to my audience?
Yeah. So Killer Rivalry was on Lifetime Movie Network, and I think it's on, streaming around those platforms, Lifetime Movie Club, and then also on their main streaming, main TV network, Lifetime. But it's a super fun thriller. I got to play the antagonist, which is super fun. It's one of my favorite roles to play. Just because who gets to play a killer every day? I mean, there's, it's not me. Obviously, I'm not in jail, but playing the antagonist, not only was I that, but I got to play 2 different roles. So I was playing Becky and Gina. So that was fun in itself. But it's about a volleyball team and they're trying to get to the top. And all of a sudden, all these volleyball players start to go missing and die off. And what's happening? So there's a lot of suspense there. There's a big plot twist at the end. So it's a super fun. It kind of keeps you on your toes the whole way through.
Awesome. And now you have however, what you went from murder for love, because the next two I'm going to talk about are films that are going to be due out sometime in 2022. Let's
Mhm.
start off with with Looking for Dr. Love.
Yeah, it's a rom-com. I can't say too much about it yet because it hasn't been released, but it's a super cute rom-com. I play a divorced mom who's, down on her love. She's down on, just kind of life. And an old love interest comes back into her life and sparks a flame that she didn't see coming. So there's a little bit of twists and turns in that. And that was played with Julianne Hough, who's fabulous. He's amazing. I think it's one of his first leading roles, and he's phenomenal. And it was directed by Peter Foldy, and we actually shot that in Oklahoma. So it was super fun, and I can't wait to see the finished product.
Awesome. And I definitely think filming in Oklahoma must have been way different than filming in Los Angeles.
Yeah, absolutely. We were filming in Guthrie, Oklahoma, which is the cutest little town. It's I think about 45 minutes outside of Oklahoma City. And the downtown looks like a movie set. Like it doesn't look real. It looks fake. And that they shoot a ton of Hallmark and Lifetime there and Christmas films. And I'm like, I know exactly why, because you can't get this kind of production value anywhere. It's just kind of built into the city. But it's a super small town. And because of COVID, like we couldn't travel. So all the cast and crew every night, we would all get together because we were in our little bubble, and we would go to dinner or, just little things around the town. And so it was a lot of fun. It was a super cute just area, and they were so welcoming to have filming there. They were amazing. The film committee there went above and beyond to make us feel welcome. So that was really cool.
That's amazing too, because the thing is, it's like that town. It felt like hearing about like Once Upon a Time. I used to watch that show on ABC when I went to Canada, and I was so impressed. So it's
Yeah.
amazing to hear that that small towns can actually be much better than a film set based in Los Angeles.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like in LA, because filming is it happens all the time here. People are just like, meh, they don't care. You know what I mean? It's an everyday thing. Where there, it's just everyone wants to come out and watch and be in part of it and be in the background and donate their store to the film. So it's just a cool community feel, and everyone's still so excited about it and wants to learn about the film industry. So it just makes it feel a little bit more, magical.
Absolutely. So speaking of film, there's one more film that might be coming out in 2022, and that is Romance on Ice. Portray a figure skater that falls in love with a prince.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it should be coming out this holiday season, so stay tuned for that. That one was shot up in Buffalo, New York, and that was actually my first time filming in real snow. So I've done other Christmas movies, but they've been filmed in LA, so we had to portray snow and that we were cold. But that one we were actually freezing, and I'm from the South and I live in LA, so snow and me, I don't really visit it, and I don't really know how to work in it. So that was challenging in itself. I had so many hand warmers all over me constantly and warming coats. And not only were we filming, outside and it was like -7 degrees, we would go inside because half of it was filmed in a skating rink. And so it was cold. I just felt like the whole time I was like, I can't thaw out. It was just so cold. But it was so fun. That one I co-starred with Jonathan Stoddard, who is also all over the Lifetime and Hallmark world. He's fabulous. He plays the prince. Um, but yeah, that was just a super fun experience to kind of, I've never been to Buffalo, New York, and we went up to Niagara Falls, and I got to see that for the first time. So just traveling and filming outside of your hometown, so to say, for me, for LA, you just get to explore and see new things and meet new people. It's just so much fun.
And I bet the next time that you do a big film that does involve the colder elements, you'll be much more prepared and help the other actors and crew members who haven't had the idea on how to deal with cold
Yeah,
weather.
exactly. All the crew there was local, a lot of them. And so they were all laughing. They were like, this is nothing. We do this every day. And I'm like, I'm miserable. Like it's so cold. But but yeah, I definitely will now know how to prepare better time.
Awesome. So let's take a little break from your acting career and let's talk about your award-winning collection of a pharaoh. So when did you decide to we want to get into the fashion industry and particular handbags?
Yeah, so this idea sparked when my mom and I were traveling the country that um, there was kind of a need for not only anti-theft handbags because that's out there, those are done, but for something that's a beautiful collection, something that's you're going to be proud to wear. And it just kind of sparked this idea. And so then we launched O'Farrow handbags. We have three different collections now. We have an everyday kind of over the shoulder bag, we have a clutch, and then we have a big tote bag. And we're actually working on our new line right now, which we're super excited about. But all the handbags are Italian leather, Italian suede. They're beautifully made. They're handmade out of New York. And then they all have anti-theft features like the zipper locks. So all your contents inside the bag are safe. You can take off the handle and wrap it around a stationary object. So that way the actual handbag itself is secure. So someone can't just come and grab it and walk away, like if it's on the back of your chair at lunch. And then it has RFID lining, so you can't get electronically pickpocketed, and slash proof lining, so you can't get backslashed. So it's a one in itself big, anti-theft handbag line that's just also beautiful. So
I think that's amazing, especially in today's age that everyone needs that kind of handbag that's not going to be sold. But like, I really think that these audience that my audience would very be beneficial with those. So I think you found a very great niche.
thank you. We think so too.
Awesome. So what are your favorite social media platforms?
What's my favorite social
Hmm.
media I mean, I think the one that I use the most is Instagram, just because it's visually pleasing to me. I actually have not really gotten into TikTok. I know that's like a faux pas, and how dare I not do TikTok? But it's one of those things I just really haven't gotten into. It's just another thing I would have to download and try to participate in. Um, then at the same time, I'm kind of old school and I actually love Facebook. Like that's the one I keep, that's my friends and family, my close friends and family. And so that's how I stay in touch with, friends from high school or my family members that I don't get to see often. So there's the personal side to me with Facebook that I like as well.
I have to agree with you. I have not picked up a TikTok thing. I cannot
Yeah.
do that. I know I use a YouTube and Instagram a lot. And the thing is, I'm scared if I go down that rabbit hole, I lose productivity time.
Exactly. It's just another thing to add to your day. And I'm like, I just don't have time.
Awesome. So we got to start winding down our conversation. So Anna Marie, if you had a chance to meet with actors who are ready to elevate their career and go look for projects like in Hallmark or in Lifetime, what advice would you share with them?
Yeah, well, first off, you need to, if you're starting from scratch, it would be get an agent. An agent is your backbone into getting you these auditions. They're pitching you to casting directors, and then you also want to get a manager once you kind of get established a little bit, and they're the ones that are going to help you with your image and your whole you know profile of everything and what you stand for. And so I would say you have to do kind of the business side first. But then also the first thing you can do is if you can't get into an agent or something, is to get into class. And that's something I still love, and I still take classes. I still take private lessons. It's acting is ever evolving and ever growing, and it's something that you kind of mature with as you age, which is nice that you don't kind of age out of it. Um, and so, yeah, I'm a big advocate on really making sure that you're staying in those classes and staying current and up to date and growing with your craft.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I still do that myself with journalism as well. I listen to
Yeah,
a lot of podcasts, and I also still keep an eye on my news and also keep an eye on what my peers are doing as well, because sometimes your peers can inspire you.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my friends, thankfully, I have very talented friends that are right there with me that keep me going and keep the drive, fresh. But yeah, you can learn so much just from people and just honestly, in acting, you can learn from just sitting at a cafe and just observing people, which is my favorite. I love to people watch. So
Same here.
yes,
Same
yes,
here, Anna Marie.
yes.
Same here. I'll raise
So
my
I'll just
hand
go
to
to a
that.
coffee shop and just sit there and just watch and observe people. People are just fascinating. And so it's so fun to have a career that you just get to portray people, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, last question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Where can my audience find some of your films that you've worked on? And also, number two, where if they're interested in O'Farrow, where can they find some of the information about those handbags? And third and finally, where can they connect with you on Instagram?
Yeah, so my films are all over. So you can Lifetime, there's Hallmark, you can see it on Amazon Prime. There's a lot of major streaming, Paramount Plus. So pretty much any streaming platform, just type in my name and you'll be able to find something there. I think now to date, I have like over 22 credits. So overall, there's a lot of content out there. If you want to watch any of my stuff, I would love it. Social media, find me on Instagram. My personal Instagram is Anna Marie Dobbins. It's just my name. And then O'Farrow Handbags, it's just o'farrowhandbags.com.
Awesome, awesome. So, guys, if you miss an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast, visit our Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Spotify, and Spreaker channels. Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast, JACOBELYACHAR. Now, are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. And Anna Marie, guess what? Jakes.shake.com is celebrating 11 years this year.
Wow, congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. If you want to find out more articles, interviews, and reviews, and to find out what's going on with America's Got Talent, it's jakes-shake.com. Once again, jakes-shake.com. Anna Marie, thank you so much for making episode 175 a really good one. And I really appreciate taking time out of your schedules, and we'll keep on an eye out for new O'Farrow projects, and not to mention those 2 movies.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a good one, everybody. Goodbye.